beautiful look of watercolor to paint a landscape. There's really something special about the way watercolor looks as a way to paint a landscape. Fantasy or not, this one is fantasy. I want to tell you something. Do you have a jar, not jelly, but a jar of dirty water? You see how dirty my water is? Well, I started this painting with dirty water. You'll see in just a second. I bring this up because I never have known anybody who uses yesterday's water as a way to start a watercolor painting. Yesterday's water, meaning that this was clear when I started yesterday, and then by the time I was done painting, look how dirty it got. Gray, almost like a blue gray. And at the bottom, look at that. You can dip your paintbrush into the bottom and get this mucky, dirty water. And yes, that is how I started this painting. And then the rest of the painting was done with traditional watercolors, pan watercolors to be exact. And the only time I used gouache on this one were those little dots, those little red pink dots that look like flowers. Other than that, this whole painting is done with watercolor. And if you're a watercolor enthusiast and you want to kind of see how I do this, I don't consider myself a teacher. I just show you how I do it or how I might do it. And this is, by the way, in my journal. I've done lots of paintings in here, and here's the one for today. So let me show you how I did that right now. Okay, let's get started. So we're going to start with the Woomer brand of watercolor paints, and let me take the packaging off of it. I also have dirty water today, and I will show you that in a second. I want to use dirty water. But anyway, those are the colors in the Woomer set, at least in this one. And this is the swatch card, so I know what it actually looks like when I use it, although I have corrupted some of them. I've dirtied them up by using them. And that's just the way I am. But when I say dirty water, let me show you. You see how dirty that water is? Let's see if I put the lid on it so I can turn it sideways. And you'll see. See how dirty the water is? Let me get the label. See how dirty it is? And actually I'm going to use that in the beginning because I want the distance of this landscape to have a foggy or a misty kind of a look to it. So that's where we're going to start. And it doesn't have to be a perfect thing. Just going to grab some dirty water and just put it on there. Now, I don't know if you can see it that well, but I'm also using it to dissolve some of the colors that bleeded through from previous pages. This is a page of my journal if you haven't watched the channel before. I'm creating a journal, usually one a day, but sometimes I skip a day. And when you paint one page, the paint sometimes bleeds through to the other page, the one behind it. So that's why there's some paint on there. All right, so let's just get some of this dirty water. Oh, I touched the bottom. Look how dirty that is. Oh, that's awesome. That's what we want. We want that dirty, very dirty look. So I'm going to reach to the bottom again. It's like getting sediment off the bottom of a lake or something. That would be fun to paint with, wouldn't it? Go out to a lake somewhere. Oh, look at that. See, that's that old paint that settled to the bottom. I just want that to be very, very covering the top, the back, the distant area of the painting. Well, look at that. See, that doesn't look like much right now, right? But that's going to help me make a distant look. So while that soaks into the paper, this is watercolor paper, by the way. It's very nice watercolor paper. So I'm going to continue with the dirty water idea and just try to define this river that's going to be coming through the scene here. There we go. I could just, so I have dirty water on the foreground and dirty water on the background. But I used really dirty water on the far background. Look at that. There's even a little piece of green paint stuck in there. That's something else, huh? Alright, let that soak in. And now what I want to do is I want to take some of the, one of the colors in the kit is Payne's Gray, right there, the third one in. So that's this one. I'm going to use some of that. That's this one. And get a little bit of that. And I'm going to try to define some of this close-up stuff. You see how Payne's Gray has a very unsaturated blue tint to it. So that's kind of what I want. It's kind of what I want. There we go. And then back here, just gonna grab that. So what I'm probably going to end up doing is using gouache in addition to the watercolor, and I'll explain that as I get there. But I don't know for sure if that's what I'm going to do. But it's what I have in my mind right now. All right, let's get some of these darker greens in here. You can hear the cars outside. What time is it anyway? Oh, it's 6:20. I guess it's late for me. Usually I get started earlier. 6:20 in the morning. And it's, by the way, it's, what is today? Friday. It's the first Friday of March, 2025. So it's March 7th. Time flies, huh? Time really does fly. Alright, now I'm going to go over to my yellow. My yellow is very dirty, so I'll have to use it a little bit and then dig down into the brighter yellow once I clean it up a little bit. If I use it, it'll get clean. Anyway, so it's been a fast-moving year so far. March. What do they say? March comes in like a lion, goes out like a lamb. Is that what you've heard? I heard that when I was a kid. Alright, let's get some of this yellow. Now that I'm getting down to the yellow, just put some in here. I just know I'm going to use it later. It's going to be a good first layer. So even though it's yellow, it's going to be darker than the water. And you can see it already, right? Now let's get some of that light yellow-green. See if we can get some of these distant trees in there. the pages now. Slightly damp. I'll use some of that blue mixed with the green. Get some of my Payne's gray here in the bottom. Just kind of let it do its thing, let it spread, let it bloom, blossom. Just grabbing, I'm kind of being random here with the distant trees. Get some of that yellow in there. There we go. I'm going to add a little bit of orange, I think, I don't know, I just think it'll help add some distance to this. It's really thin. go. All right, let's get some more of this darkness now here. Add a little bit of orange to that area too, just to give it something interesting. It's not necessarily natural with the way you might look in the real world, but it's kind of fun to just add a color every now and then. It's kind of like a technique I learned from watching other artists. Just add random colors, and maybe there's a reason for it, or maybe there's not. But for me, it's more about trying to make something interesting to look at. There we go. Starting to look like a landscape, right? Let's add some more dirty water here now. Beginning to show some movement in this water. Whoops, it's a little bit too dark. There you go. Starting to look like something. Starting to look a little bit interesting. Okay, let's get some of these darker areas in here. A little bit washed out blue here. Alright, let's get the gouache now and add some flowers to this. But so far, that's completely done with the watercolor. And now I'm going to use a little bit of gouache. I'm going to reactivate the gouache that I have on this card. This is old gouache. And you know what? Maybe I'll use some fresh out of the tube. Let's see. Excuse me. So I'm looking for some red. There's a red right there. All right. There we go. Yeah, I was going to use old, but I think it'll be easier if I use it straight out of the tube. And probably use a yellow. Alright, let's just find a little brush here. A little skinny brush. There we go. Alright. Ooh, red flowers. I think I need some white. Yeah, let's use some white with that. A little bit of white. Okay, make it pink. Make it a pink color. Make it stand out more. These little red and pink flowers growing on the side of the river. Put them everywhere. And then let's get some of this yellow. Just a little bit to look like the sun is hitting the tips of these branches here. Just make it interesting with the colors. I guess the only other thing I want to do is a few wisps, a few little just little pieces of grass maybe. Maybe there's even a few growing out of the water. I think we have our watercolor landscape with just a touch of wash to accentuate some of those flowers. Okay, well, thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.